The NHL Trade Deadline is Friday afternoon. It's fast approaching. So far, the Islanders have been quiet, although a lot of other teams have made moves. We'll break down some of the moves and discuss what the Islanders could do. All that and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
You're Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Thursday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Lots to discuss on today's show. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to talk about on a future episode, you can send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long. And I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis. And it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Just a quick reminder to everybody, the Islanders playing the San Jose Sharks tonight. That's a 10:30 Eastern time start. So, yes, I will be live tweeting during the game, but the usual midnight Eastern time premiere for the new episode on YouTube will be delayed. We will get the episode up probably about 45 minutes after the game ends. So look for it there. Same thing on audio podcasts. It'll go up shortly after the game ends, within an hour, let's say. But I will wait to record the episode until the game is over so you can have the most current Islanders information. Speaking about current information, well, the NHL Trade Deadline Friday afternoon. And boy, we are closing in on the deadline. But so far, Lou Lamoriello and company, well, Islanders have been pretty darn quiet, all things considered. Now, that could change by the time you even listen to this podcast. So, again, any of these things could happen at any time, but been busy Wednesday, 2 days before the trade deadline, and a lot of teams making some moves. And I think a lot of these moves make a lot of sense. Anthony Mantha, who I don't think was heavily on the Islanders' radar, he ends up with the Golden Knights, which means the Capitals did start to sell. Vladimir Tarasenko, once again, rumored to possibly be an Islander. Not going to be an Islander. He goes to the Florida Panthers. So Tarasenko going to be in the Eastern Conference, but not with a team that is directly competing with the Islanders for one of those final playoff spots. However, if the Islanders are a wild card, they could possibly face Florida in the opening round of the playoffs, and then they'd have to play against Vladimir Tarasenko. Adam Henrique, also off the list here. He ends up with the Edmonton Oilers along with Sam Carrick. The Anaheim Ducks get, among other things, a first-round pick. The Flyers start to make their moves. They sell defenseman Sean Walker and a fifth-round pick to Colorado. In exchange, a first-round pick and forward Ryan Johansson headed to Philadelphia. So that's an interesting move there. And the Sabres trade forward Casey Middlestott to the to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for defenseman Bowen Bryam. So that deal goes through. And oh, yeah, the Rangers active as well. They acquired depth forward center Alex Wenberg from the Kraken in exchange for a second and fourth round pick and some salary retention. And Noah Hannafin headed to Vegas. You can cross him off your wish list if you're the New York Islanders as well. And believe me, there could be more deals in between the time I'm recording this and the time you're listening to it, based on how busy things have been around the NHL. The deals that I talked about are just what was done on Wednesday. So lots going on around the league. And look, Lou Lamoriello, as of right now, it's been all quiet on the Islanders front, but that doesn't mean they are not going to be active. And I still believe, although no guarantees, but I still believe Lou Lamoriello will try to deal Oliver Wahlstrom before the trade deadline. That Wally, as a favor to him, and because the team could add a little cap space and help themselves overall, I think, by trading away Oliver Wahlstrom and letting him have a fresh start. Maybe you get a low round pick. Maybe you get a depth piece while you're at it. All of that up in the air. But here's the other thing. When it comes to Oliver Wahlstrom, and I know a lot of people in comments on YouTube have said, oh, yeah, Wally can come back and bite us in the rear end if he goes somewhere else and gets a chance and plays well. That could be true. But I think based on everything that's happened, and part of it is the Islanders' fault, part of it is circumstance, part of it may be that Wahlstrom may not just be good enough away from the puck and hockey IQ and all of that, or skating speed to succeed consistently in the NHL. We don't know yet, but I think Wahlstrom may need to have that change of scenery in order to get to that next level. So we'll see how it all plays out, but hopefully Wally is dealt. And then again, I think here's just a personal hunch. The Islanders are in San Jose tonight. And again, 10:30 Eastern time. You can hear every minute of that game with the Islanders' hometown radio broadcast on Sirius XM. Go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. But the Sharks, they're going to be sellers. And when we preview the game later on in the show, you'll know why. The Islanders are there. The Sharks are there. It's even theoretically possible the Islanders team doctors could examine any player on the Sharks if they need to right then and there before a trade is finalized. The player wouldn't have to fly halfway across the country if they make a deal Thursday afternoon. All you got to do is go across to the other locker room, really. So I wouldn't be shocked. Just a hunch here. If the Islanders and the Sharks make some kind of deal and the Islanders get a below 30-year-old forward who they can add to the mix and give this team maybe a little more speed and a little more scoring and a little more jump, but we'll see what happens. I still think a forward is the most likely acquisition. One other thing, though, and this may disappoint some people, it may not. I think, first of all, I'd be very upset if the Islanders trade away another first-round pick. 5 in a row, not good. You're not an elite team or one or two players away from being an elite team where you should be trading away 5 first-round picks in a row. Second of all, it wouldn't shock me if the Islanders don't have the ammunition to really pull off a major deal at the trade deadline. Most of the teams that are in the rebuilding mode, like the Sharks and the Ducks and the Blackhawks and the Coyotes, Those teams want prospects and picks. The Islanders lack prospects that other teams would be interested in. And other than that first round pick, you already don't have a third round pick this year. It wouldn't shock me if the Islanders just don't have what other teams are looking for, and that even if Lou Lamoriello is trying to make some kind of a move, that he's not able to consummate a deal. And for the long-term health of this team, that may not be the end of the world. In the short run, you maybe want a boost because a lot of the teams you're fighting with are getting one. We'll see what happens. And of course, when it happens, check out our X, our profile on X. Check out our YouTube page. We will give you the latest breaking news as soon as it becomes available. We have got more to get to on today's show. It's been a week. We're going to talk a little bit about how the new Islanders line combinations are working out and why they seem to be working out. We'll also have a full preview of tonight's game against the San Jose Sharks as the Islanders start a 4-game road trip. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a player who was with the Islanders for parts of 4 seasons in the mid-70s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. No matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give the team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have job requirements or you don't pay. So instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find the right candidate with the skills you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. And you can join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So the line combinations, I expressed my concerns. I thought it was a worthwhile opportunity or gamble for the Islanders, but this team basically has played better since Patrick Roy adjusted the lines. And there's a couple of reasons why they've been able to do this. Number one, Kyle McLean has proven himself to be a solid fourth line center. So right away, you were able to move Casey Cizikas up to the third line, J.G. Pageau up to the second line, and you have a first line right now that consists of 3 natural centers. You have 6 centers on your lineup right now. The depth at that position is outstanding, even if you don't have, in my mind, a legitimate second center in your lineup right now. To me, J.G. Pageau is a solid third. Kyle McLean and Casey Cizikas are both solid fourths. Zeke is serviceable as a third, can prove me wrong and even be, solid as a third or good as a third. But here's why I think these lines have been working. Horvat, Nelson, and Barzal, we've seen them together on the power play, although Nelson tends to play back at the point. But overall, this line is talented. You've got realistically your three best offensive players all on one line, including Nelson and Horvat, your two best goal scorers. And Matthew Barzal is playing with these two guys, putting up points on a consistent basis. Right now, the second line is working primarily because Kyle Palmieri is in one of his hot streaks. And, last 2 or 3 games, he has been red hot. He had the hat trick, the natural hat trick a couple of games ago. Hopefully he can give you 5, 6, 7 games where he really can sort of carry the team offensively. Fingers crossed that Palms is up to doing that. And, JG Pageau may very well do a little better offensively with Palmieri when he's hot, and Lee, who can get in front and get those tips and deflections and rebounds. This line may bring out a little bit more of the offensive juice in JG Pageau, and I think recently, to a small extent, it has. The reason I think the third line is working is that Casey Cizikas, Pierre Engvall, and Simon Holmstrom all have good to very good speed. Speed and reach, the size, angle, are the two best things that Pierre Engvall adds to the equation. Casey Cizikas has an underrated burst that we've seen him use and to his benefit. And Simon Holmstrom also quite speedy when he needs to be, especially on the PK. So, you have a second line that right now you're riding the consistently good play of Kyle Palmieri. You have a third line that is working well because all three players can give you that little bit of speed. And it may not result, the speed, in a surplus of offense or scoring chances. It may very well be that the speed that you get from that trio helps them check better and play better defense more than it gives you a lot of offense. I think they'll give you the odd goal here and there. But to me, if that trio is a plus trio at 5-on-5, because let's face it, they're not out there on the power play, although Engvall may get a little time on the second unit. But if that trio is even or better at 5-on-5, they're doing their job well. And then McLean is fit in nicely. Matt Martin hopefully can stay healthy, and Cal Clutterbuck likewise. They still do the grinding thing. I know a lot of people are saying that Martin and Clutterbuck should probably be sat. Doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. What their status is going to be for next year remains to be seen. But as far as a working, grinding fourth line with the occasional goal, I think we've seen that from this trio so far. I like the way it's worked out. But here's the key question. When Kyle Palmieri cools off, and we know he will, he's been a streaky player throughout his NHL career. When Palms cools off, can either Lee or Pageau step up and keep that second line going? Because the concern, and I still have this concern, even though so far for the week or 10 days that this combination has been put together, it's worked out pretty well. My concern remains this. You don't get enough secondary scoring from the bottom 9 players in the lineup among forwards. Got to keep that second line humming. So whether it's Palmieri or Lee or, while I find it less likely, Pageau, getting that together, the key to making these combinations work is to have at least one, if not more, of the bottom 3 lines to be productive in each game and to keep the top line consistently going. Let's see if the Islanders can do it. The one thing the Islanders have not done all season, and it will be a key to them succeeding going forward, and if they have any chance of making the playoffs, look, what they did against the Blues and the Stars and the Red Wings and the Bruins, they've played really well. But can they play at that level on a consistent basis. It's one thing to have a good game or 2 or 3 good games, all possible, great to watch. But you need, if you're going to be a playoff team, you need to play that well 8 out of 10 games, knowing that you'll, let's say go 6-2-2 in those 10 games. You do that for the remaining 20 contests, you've got a shot at the playoffs, and a good shot. But it's going to require this team to be consistent, and that's something they haven't done all year. So far, so good since the line changes. Now they need to keep it going. We've got more to get to on today's show. We'll preview tonight's game against the Sharks. Plus, we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Factor. Eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to go in just 2 minutes. You'll have over 35 different options to choose from each week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. And there are more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and get after your goals. These are 2-minute meals. Fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat whenever you're ready. They have pancakes, smoothies, and more. You've got a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. And hey, no prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup required. Sign up and save. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 and use code LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off. That's code LockedOnNHL50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 to get 50% off at Factor. Today's episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Well, Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer from another retirement account with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claims as of first quarter of 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Islanders, Sharks, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight in San Jose as the Islanders start a 4-game road trip. And again, you could hear every minute of this game with the Islanders' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. The Sharks are hurting right now. They are in last place in the Pacific Division. They are 15-39-7. That gives them 37 points in 61 games. Yeah, one of those 15 wins came against the Islanders earlier this year in OT. They have lost 8 games in a row. And just to give you an idea, they gave up 7 goals to Dallas, 4 to Minnesota, 6 to Anaheim, 7 to New Jersey. They are giving up a lot of goals lately. They are next to last in the league in goals scored, dead last in the league in goals against. Their power play is 21st in the league, 19.3% success rate. The PK, 30th in the league, 73.9% success rate. They are, a little bit better than the Islanders, but not a lot. Injuries definitely hurting the Sharks. Tomas Hertl, Logan Couture, Matt Benning, Oscar Lindblom, all on IR. Goalie Mackenzie Blackwood right now listed as day-to-day. So, again, injuries definitely hurting the San Jose Sharks. Right now, Mikael Granlund leading the team with 38 points in 48 games. Then you have Tomas Hertl, who's not playing. William Eklund, 28 points in 59 games. Got to watch him. Anthony Duclair, who every day, as remember we mentioned, is a possible trade target for the Islanders. He has 16 goals, which ties him with Fabian Zetterlund for the team lead right now. Hertl next with 15. It is not easy right now for the Sharks. They are in full rebuild mode, and they are still probably a season or two away from contention. The line combinations, Mikael Granlund, Anthony Duclair, and Fabian Zetterlund, the first line. Eklund, Zadina, and Luke Kunin, the second line. Nico Sturm centers Alexander Barabanov and Justin Bailey on the third line. And then Ryan Carpenter, Giovanni Smith, and Mike Hoffman are the fourth line. Mario Ferraro and Kyle Burrows, the top pair on defense, followed by Henry Thrun and Jan Aruta on the second pair. The veteran, Mark-Edward Vlasic and Kalen Addison are the third pair. The goalies right now, Capo Kakinen and Magnus Trona. Kakinen played in the last game, but whether or not he goes again or they let Krona get a shot against the Islanders remains to be seen. Krona has started 2 games this year, and he is 0-1-1, but the goals against average 5.2, save percentage 851. Kakinen 6-20-3, a 3.81 goals against, and an 895 save percentage. Look, flat out, the biggest key to winning this game for the Islanders, don't play down to the competition. Don't take this opponent lightly. Go out and play the game the way you know you can play it. If you've gone out and beaten the teams the Islanders have beaten during this 4-game win streak, you should be able to beat the Sharks. But again, now we'll see whether Patrick Roy has this team ready to play before this game gets underway. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. And today would have been the 81st birthday of former Islanders center Bill McMillan, the native of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, made his NHL debut with the Maple Leafs in 70-71, scored 22 goals, which ended up being his career high that year for the Leafs. Later played for the Atlanta Flames in their first season in the league, and then joined the Islanders for the 73-74 campaign. His best year with the Islanders, easily 74-75, 13 goals, 25 points in 69 games. McMillan, more of a checking, two-way kind of a forward. Had 4 goals and 6 points in 13 playoff games in 75-76. And closed out his career in 76-77 with the Islanders. Played 1 season in the Islanders minor league chain with the Fort Worth Texans in 77-78 before hanging up his skates. McMillan, 446 career NHL goals, 70 games, 74 goals, 151 points, 184 penalty minutes, add 6 goals, 12 points, and 40 penalty minutes in 53 playoff games. His best game as an Islander, this one's easy, October 28th, 1974, at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Islanders hosting the California Golden Seals. Gary the Cobra Simmons, the goalie, while Billy Smith is the goalie for the Islanders. And this game was all Islanders. Yeah, Bob Stewart scored in the second period for the Seals. But other than that, the Islanders were on top of things. Billy McMillan, our Islanders' birthday of the day, scoring a power play goal late in the second period from Jean Potvin and Dennis Potvin. He adds an even strength goal early in the third from Ralph Stewart and then completes the hat trick on a goal midway through the third. Ernie Hickey and Ralph Stewart get the assist in this one, and Billy McMillan has his second career NHL hat trick. He also assisted on a goal by Ernie Hickey later on in the third period. So a 4-point night for Billy McMillan. He was a +4, and he had 4 shots on goal in this game. One of his 2 career NHL hat tricks. Unfortunately, Bill McMillan passed away July 15th of last year in 2023. So today would have been his 81st birthday, and Bill McMillan is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day, everydayers. Tomorrow on the show, we will have our key takeaways from the game against the San Jose Sharks. We'll also preview Sunday's game against the Anaheim Ducks. And of course, any breaking trade news we will have, and we'll break down any trades that the Islanders and Lou Lamoriello make. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.